Same-sex couples will most likely be able to get married in the following states: Indiana, Utah, Oklahoma, Virginia, and Wisconsin. Joining us now to break down this, lack of ruling is trial attorney Deanne Arthur. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kathleen.
By refusing to hear these cases, what are the justices really saying to the American people?
The justices are really saying that they're not taking a stance on it at all. The Supreme Court is basically the parents, for lack of a better word, the parents of the lower courts. So they let the lower courts work things out themselves, and they only step in when they have to. Now, it's discretionary. They don't have to step in. So they're going to let the states work it out, and then if the states can go ahead and proceed how they've been proceeding. The Supreme Court not ruling on this case basically doesn't change anything for the states. The states are going to continue to act in the way that they have been, and the Supreme Court is going to say, you guys continue to work this out. This is not a time and a place for us.
But doesn't the buck stop there when it comes to constitutionality? Isn't that what their role is supposed to be?
It's not that they're mandated by the Constitution. The states are allowed to have some independence, and just like how I was saying, they want the states to be able to have some autonomy and work things out on their own. As long as the Supreme Court hasn't already addressed the issue, then the states can decide differently amongst themselves. Now, when the Supreme Court comes in and does address the issue, that's it. That's the final say. That means that it's going to be law for all 50 states.
That's right, and a lot of people were hoping that there would be something definitive that happened here because the waters seem to be so muddied when you go state to state. Now we have 5 more states, and one we mentioned at the top, from Indiana, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Utah, and Virginia, where people are already lining up after today's ruling to get these marriage licenses. Some even already getting married. Now, this goes beyond the states, because won't this sort of force the other states not to lift its bans?
Well, it doesn't make the other states do anything. The other states can still act in the way that they have because the parent, the Supreme Court, hasn't acted. The Supreme Court isn't making them act in any way. There are appellate rulings that are still haven't fleshed out yet, and they, in this procedure, because the Supreme Court hasn't ruled, they can still continue to act in the way that they have been doing, like I said before. But this really doesn't change anything. Because if there is no law, this issue can keep coming back before the Supreme Court. The justices will change. Because if they haven't acted, that hasn't restricted the states from bringing this back again. Because this issue is going to still keep coming forward.
Yeah, so in essence, they're just really putting it off.
They really are. They're not taking a stance at all. I think the Supreme Court, some people might say the Supreme Court is acting not in the way that they wanted to, not in the strong way that the Supreme Court is, that they're used to the Supreme Court handling things. But the Supreme Court, I think, knows what it's doing in the sense that they want the states to have the autonomy to handle this. But there will be a time and a place where the Supreme Court is going to come in and make a ruling.
So can you call this a victory for gay marriage?
There's not a victory for either side. Neither side is going to be happy because, like I said, there's no definitive ruling. People won't have a resolution to this until it's national law across all 50 states. Both sides are going to be unhappy with this ruling, or this lack of ruling.
All right, Deanne Arthur, thank you for trying to explain it.
Thanks,
We appreciate
Kathleen.
it.